Joining us now, she's the head coach at Florida Tech. Of course, has won conference championship and won regionals there. Only person to do it. I speak of Val Silvestrini joining us here on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Eric. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, let's talk about obviously how has it been this fall and this year. You're getting ready to travel and start the season. A little different than a year ago at this point, where there was still a lot of questions, and you even started the season later. It's got to be nice to this year. I would imagine it's been a little smoother than compared to last year.
Yes, definitely. It's been a great fall. We've been able to play some skirmishes with outside competition that we weren't able to do that last year. And so far, so good. We have a full scale ahead of us, and we're traveling. We're playing, all of our conference rivals this year. So we're super excited and thankful that we get to do this year.
What have you learned? What did you learn about last year, having gone through that? That will you think will help your players and help you and your staff this year? What do you take from last year?
Well, I think we learn that every moment that we get to spend together uh, it's pretty much a miracle. And that we love that we had the opportunity to practice as a team. But most of our athletes were taking the classes online, everything over Zoom, so they didn't get to experience the classroom, get to see their classmates. But we were very, very limited. We had a lot of rules that we had to follow. So I think we learned to be resilient. And now that this year we got to do more things together as a team, we really appreciate that we get to do those things. And I think we became better teammates. We got to use those practices and things that we were able to do this year with each other, and we were grateful that we could do that.
You had to play a basically a conference only schedule last year. This year you'll actually get to play teams outside your conference. What was that like playing only conference games last year? And I'm assuming you're excited to be playing somebody outside of your league this year.
Yeah, well, it was tough. We were playing 4 games against every opponent. We were traveling the day off, playing a doubleheader, driving back, and then the opponent will come to us during the weekend. So we did travel a lot, but the turnaround was pretty fast, and we had midweek games every single week. So I think that was really tough for our athletes. But we got to play 29 out of the 30 games. So I think we did a really good job with that. Some other teams in our conference weren't able to get as many. So we got very lucky.
Let's talk about the team. Obviously, start on offense. Your lead Cheyenne Nelson was incredible last year. 418 average, 1 homer, 13 RBIs, 9 steals, 438 on base. Conference Player of the Year. What makes her so good?
Well, she's a very special young lady. She's not just a really great a softball athlete, but she's an incredible student as well. She's aerospace engineering, and she was a junior last year. And the junior year for all of our engineering students is really tough because they start working on their senior design projects. So they dedicate a lot of time to that. And she was very busy, and still she was finding the way to go to the field or to the weight room on her own. So she really put the extra work there. She's very disciplined. She's great all around. So I was super excited that she got Player of the Year, and she had a great year for us.
Is she like one of your leaders offensively? Who are some of the other players that you depend on offensively to produce and also be a leader?
Yeah, well, definitely she's one of our leaders. We also have Michaela Lewin coming for her second year here. She's a transfer from Chipola. Tori Rom, she's a 5th-year senior, also a leader on and off the field. Ashley Campbell, a third baseman, 5th-year senior as well. I would say those are the 4 leaders that we have on the team.
Of course, you're always known for pitching. Talk about your pitching this year. What you kind of expect? You kind of went by committee last year. You had 3 starters you kind of went with that started games, and you had a couple others that threw in relief. How do you feel about your staff this year?
Yeah, I think, our game has changed a little, and that's what we're going to have to do from now on. I think as long as, all of our pitchers are able to work together, and work as a team, we're going to be very successful. We have some guy there coming back. She's a senior transfer from Seminole State. We have Ali Playton. She's a senior. She's been with us for 4 years, and every year she's been getting better. We have a transfer, Kelsey Rivers. She's coming from South Alabama, and she played also at College of Central Florida and won the state championship there. And so we're super excited to have her on staff. And we have a freshman from Colorado, Alex Hendren, that completes our staff. I think all of them are gonna get a lot of innings, and we're gonna be some of them can also hit. So it's gonna be really tricky how we manage the lineup with them.
Yeah, the two-way player gives you some options, versatility there. But it's so different because obviously we look back to 2019. Melody Murphy was your ace. Talk about that approach now where you have all these options from a staff committee kind of approach here to get you through.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things have changed since Melanie left. She was a pitcher that she will never give you anything good to hit, and also she was a tremendous defensive player. So she was the one that was getting all the innings, but we also had 2 other great pitchers behind her on Tina Velasquez and Jordan Lawless that are actually helping us out. They're student assistants this year as they're finishing up their degrees. But yeah, I feel like, the game has changed, you see a lot of the teams doing that. It's not just, who's going to close the game, who's going to start, who's going to be the middle reliever. We're taking more the approach of baseballs these days, where, the goal is to keep the opponents off balance and, miss the barrel. So whoever can do that, is the one's going to be on the mound.
Do you like to have them in set roles as far as maybe some of them be a reliever, some of them as a starter? Is that kind of a game-by-game situation? How do you approach when you have this many arms available? How do you give them assignments or do you kind of go by feel?
Yeah, I think we're going to try it out, the first 2 weekends before we start conference. We have 11 games in tournaments. But yeah, probably we're going to have a plan at the beginning of the game, say who's going to start, who's going to be the mid reliever, who's going to be the closer, and we'll see how it goes. We might have to change our plan. We'll have plan A, B, and C. So hopefully we can stuck to plan A and finish the game the way we want it.
They're going to start the season in Georgia. With Georgia College there, of course, Carson Newman's in that field, Emmanuel in the tournament as well. You're going to play in Cocoa. You're going to be hosting the tournament with Wingate, Bentley, and then West Florida, who's ranked, in St. Anselm, who's ranked in the top 10. So you're challenging yourself here early. Talk about your philosophy from that non-conference schedule.
Well, we want to be the best in the country. And in order to be the best in the country, you have to play the best opponents. So we always had a really, really strong scale, and that's where it's going to help us to advance to postseason. So we're going to play anyone. I don't mind. I want to play the best teams that we can, So we love hosting. We've been hosting tournaments for a couple of years now. And then, we get to play close to home. and then, go back and sleep on our own bed. So that's a plus for us. And we're super excited for these first two tournaments where we are going to play a lot of regional games.
Talk about the Sunshine State Conference. No, do you all feel like you're playing with a chip on your shoulder as a league? You didn't have any teams ranked in the preseason top 25. Not that that matters, but I think your conference kind of lost there last year because you were playing conference only. In talking to the other coaches, is there motivation there to prove that, hey, we're still a strong league here, and we should get more respect.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think we have a great group of coaches in our conference, and we not only want the best for our teams, but we also want what is best for our conference. Yeah, and last year was really tough. Only one team advanced to postseason. We only got to play conference, and we were limited to up to 30 games. And some teams didn't get even 20 games. So it was really tough to compare us with the other two conferences in our region that they had played more than 40 games. So the way that the criteria works, the more games that you play, the better that your numbers are going to be. So it was really tough because you were not comparing apples to apples. We were comparing teams that had played 20, 25, 30 games with teams that had played up to 44. So it was really tough for our conference, but like I say, we have great coaches. They're very competitive. They do a great job, recruiting great players. So I think this year is going to be very competitive. We all get to play, and a lot of the teams are starting off with a very strong schedule. So it's going to be fun to watch those matchups.
You got some new coaches in the league, in particular Christine Roser, who takes over at Rollins. What is that going to be like? You faced her as a player. Now you get to face her as a coach.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy that she's not a player anymore because she was the best player I ever had to coach against. She was a phenomenal catcher, and one year, they got down to one pitcher, and she would step up and pitch, and she will still shut us down. She was amazing. But I'm super excited. I know she's a great instructor. She works really hard. So she's gonna keep that program, at the top level. So I'm looking forward competing against them this year.
Let's talk about you. Obviously, you're in your 13th season at Florida Tech. You're the all-time leader in wins. You're the only coach in program history to win regionals and conference championships. You became the all-time wins leader, I think, last year. 13th season. Does it seem like it's blown by quick, or what's it like when I mention those accomplishments?
Yeah, I was actually talking to Leslie Cantor from Tampa this past weekend. I think you or Victor mentioned on your show that I'm the second longest tenure coach in the conference, that to me, that blew my mind. I didn't realize that, after Michelle Frew and Chris Villotto retiring, that I became the second longest. And Leslie, of course, she's been there for 20 plus years. So she's the longest tenure coach. But it definitely have blown by, it gone really, really quickly. I tell my players, when they say that they feel old, I go, no, wait till you graduate from college, and then years are gonna start going by, and then you're gonna get old. But right now you're not old. But yeah, but I've loved every second of it. I really love my job. I love this school, and I love this town. So I'm excited. Hopefully I can stay here for many, many more years.
Do you remember the first time you visited the campus, and what was it that drew you there?
Yeah, well, I remember it was a very hot summer day in June, and I actually, when I heard that about Florida Tech opening, I knew that was the job I wanted. So I applied for it, and I also called athletic director Bill Jorgens at the time, and I say, look, I'm in Jacksonville right now. It's an only a 2.5 hour drive for me. I would like to come down and meet you, So he say, okay, yeah, why don't you come down? And I had a very informal interview with him and the provost. And he called me a couple days later and he was, hey, I really like to have a full interview with you. I was, yes, this is my opportunity. And when I got to meet the coaches, they have been coaches that have been here for long, long times, 20 plus years, So that right there told me that this was a good place, where people are willing to stay and develop their programs and make a career out of it. So yeah, and now that's happening to me. So I'm very grateful I have this opportunity to coach young women every single day.
And you've been building, you're building your facilities, getting upgrades and things like. Just talk about the building of the program, how it takes time. I mean, I was there when you hosted the regional back in 19 there, and I know you've been building even since, and that continues and evolves, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. When I first started working here, we did not have bathrooms by the field. We had one batting cage that did not have any carpet on it. It was just concrete and holes all over it. So one time they were ripping the carpet out of our gym, and I asked if I could have some old carpet to put in our batting cage. And a few years later, we fundraised money with baseball and we got really nice cover batting cages. And then we got a concession stand building with bathrooms right next to us. And 2 years ago, after the 2019 season, we were able to get new backstop and lights on the field that we didn't have before. And it's growing. We have plans of building locker rooms for all the outdoor sports. So we're moving on the right direction, and it's very exciting times here.
What's it like with the lights? Like, how does that work now? How does that affect your scheduling?
Yeah, well, now we get to play night games, and also we get to practice at night. You can imagine being a technological school. We have a lot of labs during the day, so at least twice a week, we get to practice at night and use the lights. So it's been a great addition for our program, for our athletes, and also for our opponents. Because as you know, our conference plays a 3-game series. We play Friday, a single game, Saturday double header, and usually the Friday game is at night. It's not so hot, and our scholar athletes get to go to class. And before we had lights, we had to play earlier, so that would mean that us and our opponents will be missing classes. So that really helps with our scholar athletes.
It'll help you host regionals in the future because it'll give you more flexibility from start times. I know when you hosted a couple years ago, you were kind of had to play early, which and there was always concern. Well, what if it rains and things like that? Now at least you have more flexibility to host not only your own tournaments but regionals and possibly super regionals down the road.
Definitely, yeah, that's a big help.
What do you talk about your staff and kind of the staff you've built there right now and what they bring to the table?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of assistants this year, which been a lot of fun. I have the Emerenciana twin sisters. Shani was our starting shortstop in the 2019 season. She's my full-time assistant now, and she handles the infield and defense. Ciara Emerenciana, her sister, she's a volunteer. So she's been doing a great job with our outfielders. I have a Tim Stockton. He's a local travel ball coach that he's also helping us out, and he brings a lot of experience. He's a great instructor for our catchers. He works a lot with our hitters and our base running. He does a lot of video, and he's very savvy with technology, so really helps us out. And like I say, Tina Velasquez and Jordan Lollis are student assistants, and they're helping with the pitchers. So have a lot of help. It's really nice to have, and I get to do other things too. And as a head coach, we have a lot of paperwork to do in the office, and so I take care of all of that, and then when practice comes, I have all this help at the field, so it's really nice to have.
We've spoken in the past when you've been on with us. We've talked about your international background. You've been, played for the Argentina national team. You've helped out as a coach there as well recently. How has that gone, especially now with the Olympics happening last year? What was your reaction to seeing the Olympics, and what do you see from the international game moving forward?
Yeah, well, it was nice to see, the Olympics back on in the Olympic program. It was a little bit sad that there were no fans, but hopefully in 2028, when the Olympics are back in Los Angeles, we'll get to go and watch them here. So yeah, I'm in contact. I have a lot of friends in Argentina, and I've been in contact with them. They just started a new league that I'm super excited. It's a national league where they have regional tournaments in different parts of Argentina, and they do a 3-day, 14 round robin tournament. And I think that's great for our sport. Something I'm noticing in South America is that, there are fewer and fewer teams, on these countries. So these countries need to be creative to keep the competition, and keep the women, that play the sport engaged and active. So what they're doing is 4 regions, and they play this round robin tournament, and whoever wins each region then advance to a final 4. So they were able to do all the 4 regions last year, and they're about to play the final 4 here in the next couple months. So that was great, and I was talking to them last week. We had a Zoom call, and something I brought up is, the idea of how here they are doing Athletes Unlimited, right? Where
Yep.
you have about 64 athletes, and you put them in different teams, and they compete, so that's something that they could do over there as well. But there are not many competitions planned. I think there's a Pan American Championship coming up soon, but there was supposed to be a South American Championship this year. I think because of COVID got canceled. But these federations are working really hard to keep the game alive there, and I think they're doing a great job. So I'm looking forward to see how these tournaments end up.
How important is it for softball to get back to the Olympics in 28 and stay there for South America? From a growth standpoint, as you know, from obviously from getting money support standpoint, or can it still thrive? Can it still grow even without the Olympics?
Well, I think the Olympics help a lot, but the good thing for Americas is that we still have the Pan American Games, and that's something, that really helps the sport, because, they get the funding from the government, and the government looks at what tournaments are coming up, and having, the softball being an Olympic sport, I think that really helps, not just in South America, but also all over the world. When all these Olympic committees see that, they have an opportunity to participate in the Olympics, they're going to give more funding to that sport. I've seen that happening in many different countries. So if it stays, it will be great. I think it will really help grow the sport all over the world. But there are also other competitions that I think they need to be more stable, in different parts of the world, in order for the sport to keep growing. Like I said, in the Americas, we have the Pan American Games every 4 years, and it's the year before the Olympics. So all the countries in the Americas are preparing for that.
Leo Messi in Argentina won a Copa America there last year. First major tournament world championship for Argentina in decades. What was that like? What's been the reaction on that with him finally taking Argentina and winning that Copa America?
Oh, that was great. Last time that Argentina won the World Cup was in 1986, and I was very young. And I remember, celebrating with my family and my grandparents. We went out to the park, and everyone was out and celebrating. That was awesome. Soccer is a huge sport in Argentina, and everyone is a big fan of Messi, and he's won many different tournaments with his club, but this was the first major tournament that he was able to win with the national team. So people were super excited and hoping to win a World Cup here this year actually.
Oh, that's right. The World Cup is this year. Kind of runs by fast.
Yeah.
Who's more popular, Messi or Maradona?
Oof. I don't know. um, I think they're both equally popular. Maradona was able to win a World Cup, and Messi has not won that for Argentina yet, even though, he scored more goals, and he's, won more stuff with Barcelona, and now the Paris club that he's at. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say there.
No, that's a good answer. Very diplomatic answer. I like your analysis too. By the way, you got the Argentine soccer analyst role got down pat there. Manu Ginobili's another one. It's got to be up there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Manu Ginobili, everyone loves him. He's a great ambassador for all sports, not just basketball, but yeah, definitely.
Well, hopefully we'll be talking some softball players moving down the road like yourself there that'll pass the torch. Last question, obviously. What's going to be the keys for your team this year to have success and accomplish your internal goals?
Yeah, well, I think this is gonna be for pretty much every team is staying healthy and be able to have our entire team for our games. We have 18 players in the roster, and I don't think I've had a practice yet that everyone has been on it. We always have one or two that are out. As long as we keep it that ratio, it'll be fine. But if more players can make it to a game, that's going to be struggle. But last year we have a hiccup, and we had to leave 5 players back when we went to play to San Leo, and forward starters, and we went to San Leo and swept San Leo at their place. So it was, I tell our players, whoever we have is who we need. So we're gonna be able to put 10 players on the field, and we're gonna play our hearts out. So I think staying healthy, and I always say playing green. When we were playing at our best, our minds are free. We're happy, we're loose. So as long as we can keep that and play Florida Tech softball, I think we're gonna have a great season.
Well, we're excited to see your team get on the field and play non-conference games, and then before you know it, conference will get going. But in the meantime, always appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to talk to us, and always enjoy. You're one of our favorites. Good luck this year, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me in your show, and thank you so much for everything that you do for the sport. I love listening to your podcast and watching your YouTube channel. So I really appreciate what you do for our sport and also for Division 2. Thank you so much.